Beef Market Update with Ann Wasko on RealAgriculture.com is brought to you by Haney Farms.
I'm Lindsay Smith with RealAgriculture.com, joined as always on this Beef Market Update by Ann Wasko with Gateway Livestock. Welcome here today, Ann.
Hi, Lindsay.
So here we are, running into the tail end of August, and we do have some inventory numbers to talk about, but we've got much bigger things at issue. But get us up to speed. The inventory numbers that came out this week, what were they?
Okay, well, this was StatsCan mid-year cattle inventory report for Canada. If you recall, we had the U.S. report out 3 weeks ago. So this is the Canadian numbers, a snapshot of what total numbers in the country look like by class: beef cows, heifers, steers, calves, dairy cows, all that kind of stuff. So the numbers that, of course, we're watching, and we just had a report 6 months ago that said our cow numbers were down a couple percent. This report, no surprise, they continue that trend. Beef cows nationally, we're down 3.4%. So compared to last summer, we're sitting at 3.8 million head of beef cows across the country. And then the other kind of key category that we're watching and looking at is these replacement heifers, beef replacement heifers, to try to give us a sign, is there any kind of expansion, in the future or ahead of us? And again, the numbers keep saying, nope, sure doesn't look like it. And this one confirmed the same thing, just down a wee bit from last summer to 613,000 head of replacement heifers, down just less than 1%. So bottom line is, contrary to the U.S., where expansion is into full gear, no question about it, the Canadian herd continues to decline like it has been since coming off of its post-BSE highs at 2005. And nothing's changed. And even though, we're not selling a big number of cows to slaughter these days, the problem is we aren't keeping enough heifers to replace those cows, let alone keep the numbers steady. So we continue to lose ground. Was it a big surprise? Absolutely not. Does this have some big picture, longer-term concerns for the Canadian numbers? I think it does, because we've got a U.S. industry that's starting to grow and ours is not.
Right, and so right, as you said, not surprising. Was the percent that the herd has shrunk, was that a surprise at all, or was that right on estimates?
Not really. It was pretty close to estimates, and especially, like I say, the heifer numbers just flat. Like I say, it feels like you take one step forward and two steps back. We're seeing, if you just look at how many slaughter cows that we're moving for export or to kill here in Canada, we're actually down for the first 7 months of the year. We're down 19% compared to last year. So there's certainly not a big exodus of cows to slaughter, but the problem is we just aren't keeping enough efforts to change that number whatsoever, or keep it from sliding.
Right. So, and as you mentioned, I mean, obviously, yes, does this have a medium and long-term impact? Absolutely. But as we alluded to, there are some much larger and more immediate concerns in these markets. Catch us up to speed on some of the macro things going on.
Well, I think we even touched on this a couple of weeks ago, but certainly the focus across all markets, equity, energy, you name it, over the last few weeks has intensified and focused on the global uncertainty in regards to, especially into Asian demand and how the economies are doing. And so that's reverberating its way through the markets. And when you come back to commodity markets, they're certainly feeling the impacts as well. And it's not just cattle. We've got today, for example, and it's Friday, we've got every commodity down except gold. So that's certainly caused concern. Have the fundamentals changed as far as cattle supplies, beef supplies, slaughter, all those kinds of things? Nothing's changed there. The concern, though, is, of course, from a global perspective, how much does this impact demand? And we're not just talking about beef demand. We're talking about energy demand. We're talking about everything. So when you start to talk about economies and reductions beyond what some were thinking, it's certainly cause for talk today.
So now, obviously, our Canadian dollar, it does typically dip along with the oil prices and those sorts of things. So that can insulate us somewhat. But one word of caution, of course, is that we can't become complacent, even though, as you said, supply is still tight, demand is still good. What's the risk of sort of, planning the next year based on the last year?
Well, I think this is where you can maybe take some of the noise of that exchange rate out of it. If you look at the U.S. market, you can quite clearly say cycle highs for this cattle cycle are in. They're behind us. Markets are going to start to move lower into 2016. So if you take that kind of noise out, okay, yes, we've got a lower Canadian dollar, even lower again today. That has certainly insulated cattle prices, feeder cattle and calf prices, as we start off into the run and forward sells into the fall of this fall, continue to be very strong, record high, and certainly higher than last fall. But having said that, I think we talked about this 2 weeks ago, just understanding that the impact of the Canadian dollar has had on that, and that as we go forward, how much more we can squeeze out of a lower dollar, I think, is up for debate.
Okay, I want to end on a positive note. So, of course, we are heading into fall, which is an exciting time of year. Tell me some good news going into fall.
Well, the exciting news, I think I just said it. The exciting news, we're still running at record cattle prices. I mean, I think this has been an amazing run for Canadian cattle prices, North American cattle prices, but the Canadian prices have gotten an extra year out of it because of the dollar. And most certainly there are some excellent profit positions being kind of brought to fruition with this marketplace. So what's going on today is absolutely amazing. I guess what I'm trying to suggest is, looking way out in front, we better just not get complacent, as you suggested. But today, record prices, tight supplies, and we've still got great demand going on in North America.
Okay, I'll take it.
That's good.
I don't have a choice, but I'll take it. Okay, Anne, as always, thanks so much for your time, and we'll check back in a couple weeks. And, heck, will that be September? I don't want to say it.
Don't say it, but yeah. I think you're right, and we'll look forward to it.
All right, thanks so much, Anne.
Okay, Lindsay.